Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to have Hannah back. So Hannah, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too. So Hannah, can you please tell us your full type?
hmm So I am an ENFP, double masculine, so MM, NEFI, consume, sleep, blast, and play last. And I just got my social type back this autumn, so I'm social type 3.
All right, cool. So what has your journey been like since we last did our interview? Not since I last saw you, because I saw you in 2019, but we did our interview even before that,
hmm
on working on your NT playlist. Because I remember when I met you, your play is actually good. It's just that
hmm
you said that you get tired faster when it comes to talking to the tribe, but when it comes to the back and forth, that's actually not the biggest problem. So I'm curious to hear what actually is the problem for your NT playlist and what have you been working on in that aspect. Plus, you're also demon friends, so that also adds another stack of challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, when originally I got my type back 4 years ago, so in 2019, in the summer, I think it was, I was quite surprised to have play last. I actually thought that I would have like lead play. So I thought I was NETE or TENE, like initially. Uh, and it kind of makes sense now that to have a play last, but also to not have it as obvious as for some people maybe it would be, because as Dave said to me, uh, having a play last for an NE lead is not that big of a problem. I mean that I can use it, but for me, I think the biggest problem has been that as you said, I have trouble like managing how I use it. So I tend to sort of like use my petrol, use my energy too fast when I'm using this NT play. So I burn fast. I burn high and fast. So it's very uneconomical. So it can show up as like very in a concrete way. It can show up as me getting a bit tired or bored, or not bored, but maybe tired when I'm having to socialize uh, more. And I think for me it's a little bit easier to have sort of like more constructive social activities. For instance, my work is very social. I work very closely with other humans. I'm a nurse, so my work is very social. So and that's kind of okay for me. But then it tends to happen that I neglect my other like my friends and other social like occasions in my life. So I sort of use all my social energy or my play into my work, and then I'm tired. Then in other uh, in other times, I just want to be alone or do something that interests me, sort of consume and sleep stuff. So that's a bit of a problem because I would like to. I mean, my friends are important to me and my family is important to me, but I tend to sort of take away from those relations. So I think that's one problem. And another problem, I think, what I've realized maybe in the past few years has become obvious with my studies. When I study something uh, and there are these group assignments, I absolutely hate group assignments. That's really not something I want to do. If I do, I mean, I can socialize with those people and I can be quite diplomatic, but it really is not my comfort zone. I tend to get annoyed quite easily. I find it usually often quite unfair how the work is sort of like divided between different group members, and I always, if I can choose, I will always choose an individual like project over any group or teamwork if it's up to me. Unfortunately for me, nowadays even in the university, I think most of the courses have these group assignments, and that has been one reason why I have even quit some studies because I'm so tired of of the group work. So that's something I don't know if it's. What do you think? Could it be part of this play? any NT play. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because NT play is like collaborating with other people to solve problems. So group project is definitely in that aspect. And the problem with a group project is you don't know what you're gonna get sometimes with one of those things. So if you have a group, obviously, of people that you get along with really well and you guys work really well together, then of course that's awesome, right? But that's rare. Usually when you have a group project, there's like 1 or 2 person that's not doing their equal share of work. And it just like screws everyone else in the group, even when I remember going to college, I had one guy abandon our group and he just like jumped ship to another group. I'm like, what? The presentation is coming up, in a few days, and he just jumped ship, right? So yeah, that's like the problem with the group project is their unpredictable nature in a sense. So I guess even though you're an EP, but because you're number 3 and you're double activated SI, it's like you want some stability when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. And I guess if you were to end up in a group where everyone gets along and everyone puts their equal share of work, no problem, right? But like that doesn't happen often. So it's so annoying, right? So I can see the frustration in that department for group projects.
Yeah, and I think one thing that really annoys me about myself is that I have this double masculine SITE blast, and that comes up really clearly when I have to, when I'm under stress or there is something, quite busy time schedule. So I become a bit bossy, in those situations, and I don't like that. I don't like that about myself, but I can't help myself because I'm also, stressed, so I can't sort of control. That's a part of me, and then I feel maybe not ashamed but annoyed, about myself. Yeah, so that's one thing.
Yeah, I've seen it in action. Like in the restaurant, you were like bossing the people working there, and then I was looking for the washroom, and you're like, "Go there now," like this is so. I've seen it.
Yeah.
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 And then it's also forceful. Remember we broke the thing, the swivel thing in the library. So
yeah, and that's really well, yeah. It does makes me feel ashamed at times because, as I said, I have this heavy hand. That's a joke in my family. I think my husband has probably feminine sensory, so he's very careful. Very delicate with stuff, and I just break things. I'm messy and I break things. You remember when we were at the restaurant? So I was water was spilling everywhere.
Yeah, there was like water all over the freaking table. Like there's like shit all over it. I remember I took a picture of it because I was like, we just sat here like a minute and there's like shit all over the table already, So, I want to ask you though about being a number 3. Let's go with your social type now. So one of the number 3 thing is specialization, which is obvious because you've been a nurse for a long time. But on the other side of the coin, there's like the savior responsibility. And I remember in the Finnish food buffet, the first thing you said to me was like, if you don't like the food, it's not my problem or something like that. It's like, okay. I was like, I didn't, I thought it was just being funny back then, but now it's like, oh, that's demon responsibility right there. Like you just pointed out right there. It's not my fault if you don't like the Finnish food. And then there's like this fish and you said that you don't like it or something. But anyways, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
But you spelled out your type. You spelled out your type so clearly in that moment. So, where else? Where do you see? So I actually interviewed another ENFP who's also play last, Annie, and she's a number 3 also, and she was telling me what life is like being a number 3. So I want to hear your perspective so I can kind of cross reference. But the way she I think it's all the good stuff about the number 3s that you guys are doing. There's like a lot of good stuff because like the way number 3s get painted, I think in OPS is kind of bad. Like you guys are irresponsible, I'm like, no, number 3s are not really irresponsible. It's not that. It's a little bit different. Like you guys are perfectionists in your craft. So like you as a nurse, I would guess that you really take a lot of pride in your work and you really take it seriously. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. But I can see, I think for me, it's not that I don't care about responsibility. It annoys me if people don't take care of their own shit, that annoys me. So I think that I just wish that everyone was responsible for their own, own things. So I don't like to. I do take. I take quite a lot of responsibility in certain situations. For example, at work, I am a perfectionist. I don't like to. I don't like to make mistakes. I'm a bit scared of making mistakes. So that's a driving force. But I'm not ambitious. I've always said that I'm not ambitious. I just hate to make mistakes. So that makes me perfectionist. So my main motive is different in comparison to, for example, what I assume is social type ones. So they might be more ambitious. They want to achieve things. For me, I just want to do things correctly. I want to do things right, and I wish other people would also do things right. But it annoys me to take responsibility for other people if I think it's their job. So maybe it's more like that. So how do I say? In my ideal world, they would not. I wouldn't have to take responsibility for others. It's not my. It's not my favorite thing to do. But I do understand that, of course, I'm responsible for my children, and at work I'm responsible for other people's lives. Of course, that's important, and it's part of that. But it's true. It's sort of like it's in my box, so I'm responsible for those things. But I would never want to be a teacher or some kind of a public person, and to take responsible in that way. I don't know if that makes sense. But what you said about Annie, I think we are almost the same type with her, but there's a huge difference, and that is that she has masculine FI and I have feminine FI.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think that's one of the biggest differences between, for example, different ENFPs. Most of the ENFPs in our community, they are a masculine FI. So actually, my type of double masculine, or in general, like a feminine FI is a lot more rare. And I have really struggled with my feminine FI, what I think is feminine FI. So, for example, with my identity and my goals and my, it changes all the time. So I'm 44. So, I have life experience at some amount. So I can really say that one of my biggest struggles in life has been a commitment to certain specialization fields. So I think my relationship to social type 3 is more difficult than, for example, for those that have masculine FI, and they have more stable identity and possibly more stable life goals. But I don't know. What do you think about this? Does it make any sense?
How many kids do you have? I was curious. I didn't know you had kids.
Two, but they are almost adults now. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're 16 and 18. So they.
You had them when you were really young then.
No, 26 and 28.
Oh, okay.
26 and 20.
I see. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. It's gonna be less responsibility for you when they turn 18.
You're right.
So yay for you. You know what? I actually interviewed a bunch of ENFPs this past weekend that has feminine FI also, but they're the visual type.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is doing photography. She's a number 1 though. So I think the number 1 changes things a little bit for, even if they have feminine FI, it changes things a little bit. There's like the drive to be successful, and there's just a drive to compete, right? So they're more likely to choose an arena to compete. So the woman that I interviewed, she's an ENFP FM, and she is her arena is photography, right? So that's where she competes at high level. So she's been in and out of it, but she's mostly been in, and she only takes small breaks because she has kids also. And then the other one is Ashley. Do you know Ashley from the groups, the FM ENFP jumper?
I have probably, I don't know. Okay. Maybe if I saw, yeah.
Well, anyway, so she does have trouble with that feminine FI, so a little bit closer to you. She's the number 2, so she is interested in business. So entrepreneurship is kind of like her focus, and the responsibility coin is kind of where she's gravitating towards. So specialization is hard for her. So I'm not sure actually, but maybe if I had to guess, the problem with the feminine FI is the lack of self-trust that you can do well enough in any area. Even if you are doing well, you just don't know if you're doing well enough. So you need feedback from the tribe. Because even the number one ENFP, that's feminine FI, she still needs to get words of affirmation from the tribe to affirm her beliefs about herself. So I think you guys just need a little bit more reassurance, if I had to guess. The number two, though, Ashley, because she's Saviour friend, so she does get a lot of it from the tribe. So I think being Saviour friends does make a big difference. So it seems like the key for you guys is the tribe. And then the number one, she has her husband. That her husband's an INTP, and the husband's super supportive. And it seems like her kids are also very supportive. So she gets like a lot of tribe feedback, and also her customers and stuff. So it sounds like for you guys, you just need a lot of support, a good support system. And even though she's like a number one with demon friends, it doesn't seem like it's the worst. Do you hear that? It's like a fire truck driving by my house. Yeah. But anyways, so what I wanted to ask you then, because you're number three, so you have demon friends, but it's not the worst. But you said you really care about your friends and family. Do you have a support system, or is it something that's difficult because you're so busy at work? And you said earlier that you neglect those relationships, but you also care about those relationships. So it's like, where are you in this demon friends area?
Yeah, well, that's a tricky question. I have friends, close friends, and actually my family. So my parents and my brothers and their families, they live quite close to me. So we have that kind of social support group, you know. And I meet my parents often, and also my grandfather. He's still alive, so I call him almost every day, and I have quite a close connection with my family. So I think that's probably like the most important support system that I have, and they mean a lot to me. But part of that is that because I work in hospice care, so I see, every day I see how important those relations are. They are actually like the everything. That mean, what people have left when they are dying is usually the people close to them, and that's the most important thing. So that's something that I get reminded of that every single day at work. So it's sort of how do you say, it's like strengthens that in me also to take care of my like family relations. But what comes to friends, they are very important to me, and I think every time I see them, it's like I've never had any break, between seeing them. But I do see them too rarely, I think. So, and I have always been like that. It's quite difficult for me to be like systematic in keeping up with my friends. So, that's something that I feel a bit disappointed in about myself. Yeah.
I think I know the difference now between you and those FM ENFPs with the feminine FI. So I was thinking about it, and I think it's so because you're double masculine, maybe people don't think you need any support. And because you come across as strong, but what they don't know is you have a baby FI inside, and you do need support, and you do appreciate it, and it's not coming because maybe I don't know if it's an intimidation thing, or it's just that they think you're well supported enough and you don't need help. But truthfully, it would mean the world to you if people came actually and supported you. So and I'm not sure, are you in touch with your feminine FI as well? Because some people, they're not, right? They're really protecting
I am. I have double activated sleep.
Right.
So I actually, so I'm super aware of my emotions and my values and my thoughts, and I have very active like inner dialogue, monologue, in my head. I was actually thinking, could it be? I mean, I've always had, ever since I was a small child, I feel that I've always had a very busy mind, and that it's like this inner narrative, a constant like talking in my head. And I was thinking, now in OP language, I have like audio sleep. So my masculine SI, feminine FI. So that's like audio, right? Like audio sleep. So I'm thinking, like, is that part of, that it's a very active talking in my head. So I've always been very aware of my own emotions. They just annoy me because they change a lot. And interesting is that I've been when I was working as a psychiatric nurse, I worked a lot with like borderline personality disorder, like people who have that, and what is common for them is like their emotions like go from 0 to 100 like fast, and there's a lot of change, and it was very easy for me to understand that because I have my inner life is a little bit like, of course, in a smaller scale because I don't have the BBD diagnosis, but in a smaller scale. So it was quite easy for me to understand what's happening with them, with the emotions, and it's quite easy for me to spot like what emotion is going on and what's happening, and I'm not scared of those. They just annoy me, and I don't like how much I get swayed by my emotions. For instance, when talking about life decisions, like changing jobs or quitting studies or whatever. So I can make some stupid decisions based on my emotions at that moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
That's annoying. That's so annoying. Because like,
it is.
how can you make a decision then? Because like you can't trust it because it's like I don't know if I was going through an emotional spike at that moment, and the way you feel about something can change very quickly. So
yeah.
it's not stable. So it's like what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
So you can't make decisions in your FI then.
Yeah, but I do what I learned in I also studied dialectical behavioral therapy, so DBT. So I was a DBT therapist also when I was working there, and one of the most important skills for myself has been using the wise mind. So that means like not making these fast decisions, but sleeping over the decisions, making these tables like pros and cons of different decisions, and really processing those. And that was quite natural for me to go into that state because that's sleep processing also,
Right.
So that's so I quite enjoy using the wise mind, and I really need that because my feminine FI is it can be it has caused me a lot of struggles in my life, I think.
Oh, thank God you have double activated sleep. Otherwise, you would be in a really bad problem,
Yeah,
like really horrible
I mean,
situation.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad that I'm a double decider also, that there is because I feel strongly. I think my emotions are strong, but I also can quite fast see the other side. So it's sort of like a dialogue. It's not only monologue, it's a dialogue in my head. So I'm really glad for that.
Okay, I want to ask you something funny. There's an ESFP that I know, who's FM. She actually lives in the same city as me. We had like an OPS meetup here actually. And I was talking to her about when she goes on a tidal wave because the FM ESFP is similar to the MM ENFP in the sense that you guys both have double masculine blast and feminine FI, right? So the way she described it is that when she gets triggered, the feminine FI starts crying like crazy while saying the most horrible things to the tribe with the double masculine blast. Have you seen that happen to you with that feminine FI and double masculine blast?
Yeah. Especially when I was younger, I had when I'm in as a teenager and as a young adult, I struggled more with this masculine TE, and even at times I swear a lot. I have quite a harsh language. I don't usually, it's not directed to other people. It's sort of like directed to the universe. Like why is this happening? Why is this shit happening?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like frustration coming out. It's not directed usually, but it can sound quite horrible at times. So yeah, and if I get angry, I really struggle, holding it in. So, but I've learned to manage it quite a lot during the years. But it has definitely been a lot of work. Yeah.
So part of being a number 3 is the Saviour flex. Where's the flex in you? Like, where do you flex? Because you know, I've met you in person before, and you know, we've had the interview in the past, and I'm like, I don't see you flexing. Where's the flex? Because you're actually more friendly than flexing for some reason. I can see the specialization for sure, right? And I can even see you doing what numbers 2 do, which is like manage, because you're double masculine, so it's easy. It would be easy for you to manage people if you had to. Not that you would want to, but like you could. You know, you would have the presence for it. So where's the flex?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess there is some kind of pride in me in if I get good feedback about my, my specialization. For instance, at work, it makes me feel good if I get good feedback. But I do not want to have a public recognition. I absolutely do not like that. So that's why I don't like to flex like publicly. Maybe it's some kind of like inner satisfaction over, I don't know. But when I was a kid, when I was a child, I was sort of this like, this straight A student pupil. And then I think my flex showed up more as a kid. But I got quite a lot of like negative feedback from my peer group, so I learned to sort of like tone down that flex. And what I mean is that the consequence often was that, I got people, for instance, when I failed in something, like I'm really bad at sports. So if I failed at sports or something,
that's weird though, because you're double masculine. You would be kinesthetic, right?
Yeah, that's why I was a bit surprised about MM. I don't relate to that much. But if I failed in something, people were sort of like happy or even cheering, like, I failed, because I usually didn't fail. So, it was, I learned that it's not good to be publicly too good, so it's because that no one wants to fail, and if it's made to be like a big thing that you fail, so you learn to tone down the success also. I don't know if that makes sense, if you get what I'm
yeah, I get it. You don't want to draw attention to yourself, because then people will start seeing you as the bad guy, essentially, instead of the not the bad guy. I'm curious, because you are very friendly and you seem to care about your tribe a lot. How come have you entertained that before you got your social type, that you might be a 4 instead of a 3?
I actually thought that I'm a 4, and I was quite surprised to get 3, especially because my type is with the social type 3, it's supposed to be like really introverted. It's like play last and now social type 3. So I really don't seem that introverted to it. I mean, people who know me in real life would never say that I'm that introverted, like my type.
Yeah, I met you, so I know you're like, you even come across more extroverted than me. So it's and I'm the crackhead here. So
so that so it's quite surprising. So that's why I thought that my social type must be a bit more extroverted, because my main type is not. So I'm quite surprised by that, actually, to be honest. And then I'm also thinking, like, am I sort of do I have some kind of role that I'm playing with this, like this extroversion or this socializing? But then on the other hand, I really do care about people. I wouldn't be doing this job if I didn't care about people, and I'm not sort of like faking it. So that's something I have struggled a bit understanding why my type is so like introverted, and so even, I don't know how to, not cold, but somehow aloof even. Or I don't know if I'm interpreting it wrong.
Did you ask Dave and Shan when you got your social type back, how come you're not a 4? Because you are quite friendly. You're very friendly with people. You do care. You do like spending time with your family and friends. Obviously work prevents that sometimes, but you do make time for that. And then if your animal stack is super introverted, but then you're very social, it kind of means that you have high friends, right? Because that's the only explanation. Because that's the only way I could see you being so social. Is because like my girlfriend is so
Right.
she's also she's a mope too. She's sleep consume play blast, but she loves talking to people. She's the number 4, right? Like absolutely loves talking to people. Like she's so like when she sees people, she's so happy, so hyper, right? And then I'm like, she's sleep consumed and she's so hyper to see people. It's like,
Yeah.
so maybe you should ask them about that because I'm talking to you and I'm like, it sounds like you're missing flex. You're not missing
Mm.
responsibility.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's why I thought I'm a 4 because I can see the specialization. Yeah, I can see that, but I can also see friends. I
Yeah.
thought and I was really scared that they would put me in as a type 1. So I was like, I cannot, I don't want to be, and I cannot be type 1. That's not possible, and I knew that. But yeah, I thought I was type 4, especially because those specialized and friends seemed like I related to those most. But I don't know. There's so many. I have to admit it's been a month since I listened to Dave's audio, so I don't remember why did they both see me as type 3. There is probably some explanation, of course there is, but and I don't know. What do you think? Because I'm an infodom, right?
Yeah.
So can that sort of what do you think is the relation between like social type 3 and infodom? Is there any connection there?
I mean, the only difference with infodom is you want to make sure the accuracy of information is super important to you, right? So because I also spoke with Annie, who's actually a number 3, right? And she's also doing the infodom stuff. But the biggest difference between you and Annie is you are more playful, and when you talk, you don't have problem doing the back and forth banter to talk shit, pretty much. Well, Annie's more serious with information, so I think you might be a 4 just from talking to you now, and also because I actually like I've met you in person, so I
Yeah,
think
you've met me in person.
yeah. So I like, for me it's like you're super friendly. Even if you're aggressive, you're actually super friendly. You're friendly aggressive. You're super friendly aggressive. Um, which is fine with me. Doesn't bother me at all. I actually like aggressive people, especially like yeah. I have so many double masculine friends. Like
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I have so many. It doesn't bother me at all. And I know there's a baby FI there or baby DI in there. So like a feminine DI inside. So usually when I make fun of like double masculines, they start laughing their ass off because the feminine DI gets like triggered and they're like, they become like a girl, so or like more feminine. So it's just funny. But yeah, I think I if I were you, I would ask, just double check, because just mention that you're super friendly, you love the tribe, and the demon friends doesn't make any sense. Demon, or sorry, yeah, demon friends doesn't make any sense. Demon, I mean, Saviour specialization definitely makes a lot of sense. So that one is definitely for sure. I don't see responsibility missing. Also, like it's not, it's still demon, but it's not missing. Flex is what's missing. Because I'm talking to you right now. I'm like, where's the flex? I don't see it. Where is it? I don't see. There's no flex at all. Yeah, sure, you got straight A's when you were a kid, but there's a lot of 4s who are good in school. So it's not like, that's some of them are just good in school because they like school, they like studying. They're not doing it to show off anything.
Yeah, I'm consume, consume sleep, Saviour. So I love studying. I love learning. I'm very curious. That's like my comfort zone. That's where I could spend all my life. I always said in my ideal world, I could do nothing but study different things. Just whatever interests me at the moment. I would just study everything and do no work, just studying. That would be my paradise.
Yeah, I also noticed with the number 3s, they tend to dress to stand out.
Really?
Yeah, like not necessarily to dress aesthetically pleasing, not always, but to stand out. So you know what with the deciders, right? The difference between the TI and the FI is, the big difference is TIs want to, they're more competitive, while the FI wants to be different. So I think that's the biggest thing I see between the two of those DI functions. And so if someone is more FI, they might dress more to stand out. While if they have TI, they might dress more to display something that is high status. Not saying FI won't do that as well, but FI is a little bit more on the side of being different, or but even if they dress really nice, it's more to express the artistic side of it, you know, of being aesthetically pleasing, right? But obviously there's you know there's overlaps both, right? There's some TI that wants to be different also, and FI wants to compete, but that's what I've seen. So like with Annie, for example, she's more quirky, right? So well, for you kind of just want to blend in with everyone else.
Yeah.
So that's
Sure.
so I don't see you trying to attract attention to yourself.
No.
So that's why if I were you, I would just go back to Dave and Shan and just it's Dave that got your social type, right? So just go back to Dave, I guess, and just be like, I don't try to attract. You just mentioned that you don't try to attract attention to yourself. You're really friendly. You love friends genuinely, you know, and you're not like weird about it. Because like I've interviewed another number 3 who is an ISFJ, and she does have friends, but it's like very limited and it's very specific. Like she has one friend that she sees twice a year. She takes her friend out for her friend's birthday, and then her friend will take her out for her birthday, and that's it, twice a year. It's very like systematic. And another friend, she talks on Zoom once a month, 12 times a year, and that's it. That's as far as our friendship goes. And for you, it's like if the social gathering fits your schedule, you're so happy to show up for it and like meet friends and family members. So it's not like, from the sound of it, you're like, you genuinely want to connect with people, even though you're an introvert. Even though you're an introvert, like it's only because you're an introvert that you're not doing more of it, and it's also because the animals come before the social type. So a lot of people, they feel as cognitive dissonance with their social type and their animal stack, especially someone like you who's play last but clearly loves friends. So that's another thing I would ask Dave and Shan is like, did it come across that you're demon friends because you're play last? Because you really care about your friends and you really want to hang out with them if the opportunity comes, right? So it's one of those tricky things, right? With
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And now when I think about it, sometimes I love to see my friends, but sometimes I feel like I want to prioritize my own time. So sometimes it feels like a burden to leave my home, to go somewhere, while at the same time I want to go. It's very, I do struggle with it, with that push and pull with those. Yeah.
It's like a tug of war for like what you want to do.
Yeah. But when I'm in a social situation, I'm very friendly and very bubbly and the funny thing, why I actually it's that's a good thing to what you suggested that I asked Dave, because if I think about my workplaces, every single workplace that I have been working, in my adult life, one of the main strengths, this is, and I hope this doesn't sound like flexing, but I mean this is just a fact. What I've gotten like feedback from my bosses, and it's always that I'm a very good team player. That's and this sounds a bit. I know now people can be like, but you just said that you hate group work and you hate, yeah, I hate group assignments, but I do like to have a good team. I do like to put my own effort to making the work community be like friendly and welcoming and that's very important to me. And I have been given credit for that, to be a good team player, and I'm really happy about that. That's something I flex about, is that I've gotten good feedback on that, because that's important to me. It's very important to me that the work community is working great. What comes to my private life, when I was younger, I did have some arguments with my friends, and I was sometimes thought of more difficult, because I think it's because of my masculine TE, demon
I think
masculine
that's from that.
TE. Yeah, it's from that, that aggression, as you see.
Yeah.
As you have seen. So I think I have learned like more humor, and especially more like this self-irony, as I have aged.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I can soften my masculine TE with, self-deprecating humor. So I use that quite a lot, and it's okay because I don't want to be intimidating. I really don't. It's a bit. It's quite a shock to me every time people. I quite often I also hear that I am a bit intimidating, and I'm quite, oh, how can people think I'm intimidating? Because I just want people to feel, good. But I think it's what you also saw, this friendly aggressive aggression.
That's my description of you. It's friendly aggressive. Yeah.
So good.
But like I'll tell you about Hanna,
God.
friendly aggressive.
But it's true. I can see that.
I don't. Okay, I don't think you're intimidating at all, but like I have double feminine plates. I don't see that. I see the tribe as not aggressive. Like even the most aggressive person who's like screaming their head off, I'm like, they're not aggressive. They're just loud. That's just like.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, but that's me though, because I have double feminine play, right? So I think I'm aggressive, but that's because I'm double masculine sleep.
Oh, yeah. But you're not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, but if you know me, I really am. If you really know me, I just have to know you well enough to know that you can handle it. If you can't handle it, I have to tip it. I have to bring it in slowly. If I know you can handle it, then I go full on aggressive. When I hang with my friends, I'm so aggressive. I say the most horrible things to them, but I know they can handle it because I grew up with them, right? But like if whenever I meet someone new, I'm always like the most friendliest person, which is kind of ironic because like remember earlier we were talking about getting support from the family and stuff, and then if you need support because you have feminine FI, right? I have double masculine inner world, and I get so much support, and I'm like, hey guys, you don't need to baby me.
You don't need.
Like I'm like like I'm actually like very self-sustainable. Like I can take a lot of hit, and it doesn't. I don't. It's fine. Like even like especially because I live in Canada, right? And I grew up in Canada, but I do go to Philippines every few years to visit family, and they're babying me so much. Like you can't go here; it's dangerous. Blah blah blah, all this stuff, right? And then I'm like, I don't think they know where I've been. Like I've been to 99 countries. I've been in a vehicle with a smuggler before, when I was in South America. Like I've been in a really bad situation, and like I'm fine, and like going somewhere by myself is not hard, but they keep babying me because I'm double feminine play, right? So that's how I'm perceived. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't really care to argue because again, double feminine play. So I'm like, I don't really care to argue. So I'll just go along with it. I don't really care, you know.
But I have to say you're really, that's on spot. How do you say? That's very accurate description. Ever since I was a child, I've been taken to be quite independent and strong, and I haven't been, and that's exactly how it has been. So I have felt like very insecure and unsure of what to do, but I show up as more like self-confident than I am, and I take charge easily in certain situations. So people really think that I don't need. It's so like accurate that it almost makes me cry because that's been one of my these how do you call those? Like
you're misunderstood. You're heavily misunderstood. Yeah. Which is really sad. Really sad. Because that means not many people have seen the real you. So it's kind of it's really sad. Has anyone ever done that to you? Reach out to you and like be like, hey Hannah, it sounds like you're having a hard time. Can I support you in any way? Like maybe your husband or something? Or not even?
It doesn't happen often, but my husband is because he's okay. Sorry, so I have to go. Can I open my door to get my cat in because she's like scratching the door? So I'll be here just one second. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. My cat is definitely like FM. She's a diva.
Oh, okay.
So yes, she's insistent when she wants to come.
You know what's funny though with the FMs, because they also have feminine FI, masculine DE. The way Dave and Shan describe FMs is like they look very feminine, but they're aggressive. So when they're being aggressive, it's just like the tribe thinks it's just cute because they don't have like that that actual masculine presence because they look like double feminines, right? Even though they're aggressive, so they still get the support. But like the double masculines, unfortunately, you guys don't get the support because you do have the build for double masculine and the attitude of the aggression. So unfortunately, because people see you guys as tough and sturdy, that they don't know that hey, you guys need support too. You're just people, and Would you say though that's also partly on you as a double masculine to show the feminine FI side, the tenderness side? Because I have a friend who's double masculine, but she's an ESFP, and because she Saviour responsibility, she will actually. I mean, she has trouble making female friends because they think she's too aggressive, right? But like, she will actually reach out to people and tell them that she needs help. Like she was like one time she was going through a breakup. She actually went to me and to talk to me about her breakup and stuff. And she's double masculine. She's so aggressive, right? But then like at that point, it's all like the feminine FI, and plus she's scared of spiders too. So she's like becomes like the feminine FI comes out the moment the spider comes out. Like so it's like so for me it's like okay, I don't think she's as tough as she looks. She's just like, and she tells me all the time she's so insecure, and I'm like, I don't think I was like, oh my god, I don't think anyone will ever believe her because she's so double masculine and tough.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I initially when I had my first videos for the original typing, I talked quite a lot about how I can talk about any emotion. I can talk about, I'm scared, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm whatever, but the emotion doesn't show up. So for instance, I don't cry easily in public. Nowadays, I do more because I have learned to do that. And I work with emotions every day. I work with grieving people, scared people. It's sort of emotions are what I work with. So it has made me also a bit more expressive of my own emotions. So I'm not afraid of crying anymore in public, but I used to be. I never cried, and that's something that has been a bit confusing for people. That I talk about difficult stuff, difficult things in my history, whatever, but I don't show emotion as emotion. I just talk about those. So it may sound a bit harsh for some people, and I also tend to talk about very difficult topics in general. So death and all these kind of mental health issues. I've worked with those, and sort of my interests have been about these really dark topics. So that can also confuse people a little bit. They think that I'm somehow tough, that I can take all these things. But I think I've learned in recent years, I've learned more about expressing that it's not that bad to express your own FI emotions.
Yeah.
And that's, I remember when Shan had the original audio for me. So I think that it was very clear for them that I have feminine FI and masculine TE, is especially for this specific reason, that I feel strongly, but I don't want to show it like as like to be emotionally expressive. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's.
I mean, it makes sense for like the traditional description of masculine DE and feminine DI, right? It's like you're protecting the baby DI with a shield, right?
Yeah.
So it does make a lot of sense. The one thing though that I'm interested to know is you have feminine FI in a savior state. So it's a little bit different from Shan that has it in a demon state, and those other people who has masculine DE and feminine FI, or feminine DI, sorry. In that case, there's a lot of times then that you're using your feminine FI first, especially because your first animal is double feminine. You're consumed first and it's double feminine. So you're putting your feminine FI first. So how does that work where you're putting your feminine FI first, but you have this masculine DE shield? It sounds like you're putting the shield first, but that's not actually like that's not actually how it shows up in the stack. So are you just doing it? Do you just hide when you're doing the feminine FI stuff? Because it's consumed, right? So like no one can see you when you're in that like double feminine
private
state.
Yeah, it's private, and that's why I have always felt that I have quite like two quite different sides. I have my own, my own Hanna, my what I do. So it's that consume sleep. So that's, I have always read a lot, and I love all this, like even as a child, I was very like girly. I loved all this princess stuff and Barbies, and I read a lot of like romantic novels, and I love like Victorian period and all these, very very like even like tacky romantic stuff. That's my own consume. That's for me. That's my private little world where I live in. But I don't show that out to the outer world. So when I'm with people, when I jump out of my own little bubble, then I look quite different. So there's a sort of, it's quite a big dichotomy, or how do you say it? So that's why I've been a bit confused about who I really am, because the outer Hanna and the inner Hanna are quite different.
I feel like we're living opposite lives, because like you have your double feminine inner world and double masculine outer world, and I have my double masculine inner world and double feminine outer world.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like lead play, right? So it's double feminine first. So we're both double feminine first, but like different. Mine's outside, yours inside, right? And then as you go and go towards your blast is the one that's double masculine, mine's my sleep, so it's the last one. But like, yeah, I sometimes I do feel misunderstood too, kind of like what you said in your story, because like it's the opposite. I'm like, yeah, I'm not what you think I am, so it's like it's insane for you. It's like people don't know who you are, like for real. So I think when you said you don't cry often, I think you would though if someone actually saw the real you, or like they're like, oh my god, Hannah, you're actually like really really feminine inside, and you're really soft and tender, and you really want a lot of support. And then they're like, and I think if someone actually were to see you in that light, you'll be like, I think you would definitely cry.
Yeah, I would break it down. I would break it down, and I'm really scared of that, and that's why I don't show that side of me.
But you want that though. That's what you want. So it's weird.
Yeah. And that's my struggle. That's me. I'm 44, so I've really had that struggle, and I still have that. Now I think I'm a bit more understanding towards myself, so I'm not that harsh anymore about this, this difference. I'm also even a bit amused about that at times. I think it's quite sweet to have this very sort of childlike. I have this childlike curiosity, and I get along with children very well. They see me. I think children see me as that's why I like children, because they sort of spot my childlike energy.
Oh, right.
Very fast.
And probably animals too, right? Because I notice people with like feminine DI, when they see an animal, they're like, oh, come here, come here. Like I have a friend, he's like this double masculine INTJ, and he's like always screaming profanities at people, and it's like so aggressive. But the moment he sees a dog, he becomes like the biggest girl. He's like, oh, come here, cute, cute, cute. And he's like hugging it and stuff. And it's like, I was like, what the hell? The first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell's going on here? But but then I just realized, I'm like, oh, he's a softie inside. And then like one time my friend who's like a double masculine INTJ, he'll say like the worst horrible things about other people, and I'll see him pick up a photograph of like, let's say like a letter, like either like a photograph that someone took of him and other friends, or like a letter that someone sent him, and I can see him look like he's about to cry. He's like getting really emotional looking at it, like nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I need nostalgia. And he'll say horrible things too. He's like, I need to get rid of this shit. I don't like this shit. But I'm looking, I'm like, you're lying. You love it. You're like, look like you're about to cry. Like so it's definitely interesting to see the double masculines. And do you think it's like also cultural? Because like, what if you were in like a culture that like really embraced that, like so because you're Finnish, right? Like Finnish people are supposed to be more contained, I guess. That's like the culture. So definitely. Do you feel like it's also cultural, where like
it is for sure. I think when I lived in England for 1 year when I was a teenager. Well, I'm not saying that English people would be very, very feminine, but I spent a lot of time with Spanish people and Arabic people, and it was quite natural for me to be with them, because they were a lot more expressive. Emotions were like, we all know, they were a natural part of your expression. So I felt relieved to be along them. It was very easy for me, and I enjoyed that. So when I came back to Finland, I got actually depressed. I mean, seriously depressed when I came back, because the difference was so huge, and it was like giving up that lovely emotional expressiveness.
Yeah, it's really nice. Because I'm Asian, right? So the Asian culture is not very expressive emotionally, also. But I remember also I went to South America, and everyone's like freaking like kissing each other's cheeks, giving each other hugs, telling each other how much like they love each other's company and stuff, and it's just like such a very emotional like kind of like culture. And I'm like, wow, this is so nice. It's so warm and nice, like I really like it. And then I was like, man, like my culture's missing this shit, like that's what I was thinking, right? But then I also thought when I was there too, I was like, oh, but these guys have no logic. Like they need more logic in their thing. Like Like
Oh,
what?
maybe a tea.
Yeah, and yeah, they need more tea. And what I remember when I was explaining to those South American people like the tea, they look so curious about it. They're like, wow, what is this like logical stuff? It's like it's so interesting, so different, you know? And it's like I was like, huh. It's so interesting. It's just fascinating. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Maybe you're like I'm looking at your is that a real plant behind yours or wallpaper?
No, no, no. That's like wallpaper.
Oh, okay. It's like
Hmm.
tropical looking, and you're like in
Yeah.
Finland. It's cold, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, is this like a
Yeah.
inner is this like a rebellion or something that's happening? Like an inner rebellion, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm sort of yeah, trying to fight the Finnish winter. We have it's really dark and cold now here in Finland. Well, you're in Canada,
Yeah,
right? So
we're in the same boat because I'm in Canada.
yeah. So
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it
Yeah,
sucks. Yeah, it sucks.
yeah.
All right, Hannah. I think we'll wrap it up here because I have another
Hmm.
interview coming up. But
Hmm.
it was really nice talking to you and just getting to know you more also from the social type perspective, and also just talking about like the real you. I thought that was really cool. Also, like you actually wanting a lot of support, even though you're double masculine. And there was something else I wanted to say before we wrap this up, but I forgot because I have SI at the bottom. But don't worry about it. So, um, but yeah, it's good seeing you again. Since it's been a while since I talked to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was lovely talking to you, and thank you for the tip for asking about the social type from Dave.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
definitely want to hear what they have to say once you bring up like the connection friends thing, and all this other stuff. Missing flex, So I
Mhm.
definitely want to hear what happens after you talk to them about it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
All right,
Thank you.
take care. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
yeah, bye.